Greetings. Hello, YouTube land. So we are live here in Alabama. This is Aaron.
Hey.
So this is the mastermind behind all of the editing. I just take little video clips and then he builds these masterpieces. So
more of an interpreter of just what she does.
Okay. So I see that we already have a question. Actually, I want to go ahead and knock these out before we forget them, I guess, if that's all right with you. Somebody had posted a question about
gators.
Okay, well, about gators. So somebody asked, see, they are masterpieces. Somebody posted a question about gators in Patreon, and they're not able to make it, so I did want to go ahead and make sure I answered that question. But they asked why I wasn't using them anymore. So on the AT, I never used gators, but I figured if I'm going to need them, like in the desert would probably, be a place that would be good because it's very dusty and exposed dirt. So I tried them, but part of the Velcro sticks to your shoe, and then the other part is on the gator, and it connects to it and holds it on the back of your shoe. Well, it kept coming off, and they give you multiple pieces, but I just kind of got tired of fooling with it, so I sent them home. But now that I have, those were on my Solomons, now that I have the Ultras, they actually have a place meant for gators to stick on the back of your shoe, so I might try them again now. I don't know that I noticed a significant amount of difference in the junk in my shoe, but I think it depends on how you walk, and some people walk in a way that it just throws debris up in their shoe. But so that was the first question. Then the other one,
we can come back to that.
Okay, all right. Somebody else may ask the same thing. So okay, let's see. Do you have any plans for 1 or 2 zeros in? I'm not sure what that is. A tricky? I don't know. I really don't plan my zeros. I mean, sometimes, like in Idlewild, I knew that was like a pretty a well-mentioned town, in reading about the PCT and everything. So I definitely wanted to, hang out in Idlewild. So when you get to a town, if you hadn't had a zero in a while and it seems like a cool town, or, for me, if there's good Wi-Fi, then I tend to go, okay, maybe now would be a good time for zero so I can blog and all that stuff and do these live Q&As with y'all. So I don't know. I guess it'll just depend. Okay, let's see. I see snow on those mountains near Truckee. Yeah, I've got a lot of snow in the future, I feel like. So, how many miles so far? Between 400 and 500. So about as much as I had done on the AT at this point, but the difference in these two trails, even though the PCT is longer, when you get into like Oregon, you can do a lot more miles. Whereas on the AT, when I got into New Hampshire and Maine, the mileage was like cut in half. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm still on schedule. There are actually still people starting right now. Not a whole lot, but so I started very early in anticipation of having to come home and everything. So we are good on that. Let's see. Do you think Verizon has the best service on the PCT? So far, yes. I think so. I haven't really had, at least once a day, I've pretty much been able to get some kind of service, to get just, something out saying, hey, I'm alive. But, I mean, there have been a couple of days where I haven't. So, and I actually think I've had better service so far on the PCT than the AT, I think. But I know that there were areas on the AT that, AT&T did better, like in Pennsylvania. But yeah, Verizon's pretty good, in my opinion. Okay. So, how far behind...
They're about a month.
Are the videos? Yeah.
They're about a month now. Once she gets in the Sierras, we'll catch up a little bit. Because we wanted to start with the Gap, just to make sure that we had enough footage to get through her trip here, because we knew she was going to come here, and we didn't know what we were going to do with the Sierras. So we just wanted to make sure we had enough footage so we don't have to show a whole video of her running around Alabama. So,
yeah.
But once she hits the Sierras, we'll know more and we'll catch up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So how are the Ultras doing? Bozo shoes. Yeah, they are. They do look like Bozo the Clown shoes. So they're doing great. I like the Ultras. I think that I'll actually go with another pair of Ultras, which is bad. Like I have a pair of Solomon's and Brooks Cascadias in Q, but they're not big enough to hike in. Like they'll be fine to wear around town and stuff like that. But so since the ultras are working right now on this trail, I'm gonna go with what's working. But I would probably be able to wear the other ones that I have if they were a big enough size. So, all right, I think that is the last question as of now. And I don't know, I know folks have asked questions about like vlogging in general, or like how we're able to communicate, or get the footage back, how I get it back home, and maybe what programs he's using or anything like that. So I don't know if any of y'all have any questions about that specifically while I have him here, because I'm always like, I'll have to ask Aaron. So if y'all have any questions about that while we're on here, let us know. Let's see if anything else, or any other questions for that matter about the PCT. Are you going to be able to catch back up to Perk, or is he going to get too far ahead? That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure where he is right now. I mean, he has still been hiking. I think he took off a couple of days, like as soon as I left. But there are other people from the AT. I don't know if y'all remember a guy named Land Mammal. He's going to be right around the area that I'm in, hopefully, when I get back on. So maybe we'll be able to, hike together. But yeah, I'll try to catch Perk. I'm going to try to do as many miles as I can just to kind of catch up, since I've been off, but not at the expense of injuring myself or anything like that. So we'll see what happens. I hope I hike with Perk again, but I really love how most of your videos have something to say and narrate over the footage. Yeah, that's all him. Yeah, instead of just my face like blah 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 blah, then he's able to make it look better. Let's see. I've used MSR Kid snowshoes on many of my winter Tahoe hikes. They're light and small. Will you be considering using snowshoes? I don't know. I've heard people talk about that. I've heard that in other years people have used snowshoes. I hope I don't have to use them because they're heavy, when you're not, wearing them. And then even wearing them, like, it just doesn't really sound like fun backpacking in those. But I guess if it's that, or like post holing all day. I'll just see. I won't start with that unless like I know other people have been using them and have been getting them. But there are places to get off and resupply in the Sierras. So if I need to, then I'll get something like that and then get back on the trail. So what's the percentage of raw footage that makes it into the videos? Okay.
I haven't done the numbers yet, but I think right now we have about 120 gigs worth of footage on our Dropbox. And I would say it's probably maybe 30% of raw footage. A lot of the clips make it in, but I don't use nearly all of any clip usually. Unless it's something where she just talks the whole time, then maybe that. But probably 30% would be my estimation.
Yeah. That's kind of cool to know. Yeah, because with the lapse in time, like I can't remember exactly everything that I've like filmed. So whenever I watch the video, I'm like, oh cool, and like I remember those things. But there are very few times where I'm like, wait a second, such and such wasn't in there or whatever, So, but then usually it does end up appearing. So.
And there have been times when maybe she'll take a zero and she'll travel different places and it doesn't really make sense with the story that's going on. Like it doesn't work right. So I may cut out a whole day if it just doesn't flow right. So it just depends on the video, but usually probably about 30%.
And then looks like it appears the Woods Creek Bridge, Mile 800 is out. So he's on okay, cool. Thank you for that information. All right, the 3D mapping on the PCT preview episode was awesome. How did you do that?
Well, that was that's probably the most complicated thing I've never done 3D modeling before. So the software I used, I was in Photoshop a lot. I probably used about 35 different images clipped all together to make it work. It's a lot of satellite images. I don't want to say where I got those from because I don't know if I was supposed to use those. But I spent a lot of time in Cinema 4D to do the 3D modeling. and that came with After Effects, the Adobe After Effects. And I used a lot of topographical information to make a displacement map to get the terrain right, and it's really kind of boring, but it was it was a lot of work. I've never really done anything quite like that before, so I learned a lot. And but I used all the software I use Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and Cinema 4D to sort of get it all, the animation together. And it was interesting. I wanted it to be about 4 times, the map to be about 4 times bigger, but I don't have the computing power to have worked on something that big. But that's all I got for that.
Yeah, no, and it was very cool. Like I watched it, and I'm like, oh my god, like I can't even imagine. I don't know how that's done. And I've seen him play around with stuff a little bit, but I have over my head. Let's see. Any chance of an outtake video blooper reel?
Well, we try to use outtakes in the videos.
Like in the last one, I don't know if y'all noticed the rock like rolling down.
She set up the tripod.
Yeah, set up the tripod and was putting on the micro spikes, and a rock like started tumbling down and almost hit the camera, and we're all like, oh, watching it, and then also like they were on backwards or something like that. So I don't know. I think that's like all part of it, and like we were talking about that. I was like, I'm kind of surprised you put that in there, but like I'm glad, because like this isn't some like,
it's not a scripted show.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so it's just like what is happening. What happens? Yeah, so
and
it's not fake.
If something makes me laugh and it doesn't have profanity in it, then I'll probably put it in, because why not?
Yeah. And Perk's responsible for most of that profanity. Yeah, that's Perk's fault if anything's cut out. Let's see. How are you going to stake your tent in the snow? I don't know yet. That's a very good question. Probably, I guess I'll be digging up rocks. I don't know. That really is a good question. I'm not sure. I know previously, like in years before, people try to, when they get in the Sierras, they try to go up and go over and get low enough in elevation that they don't have to camp in snow. I'm not sure that that's going to be an option for us this year. I don't know. But people have done it before, so where there's, the will, there's a way. I guess that's how that saying goes. But anyhow, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I guess that's something I need to start thinking about. But it's very funny, because a lot of this stuff is just like, I don't know, figure it out like when I get there. And you do, and then you just keep rolling with it. But yeah, I haven't really thought about that.
And that's sort of how the videos go too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it ends. So just kind of figure it out when you get it. Though.
Yeah. It's like I work with what I have to work with. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a music license service? So
we use Epidemic Sound. They have sort of a partnership with YouTube, so you can connect your YouTube account to Epidemic Sound, and anything you use, you don't have to credit any artists. Probably should have, but maybe I'll go back and do that. But and as long as you have the subscription, you can put any song that they have, and it's $15 a month if you have fewer than 500,000 views a month.
And then above
that it's 30. And then if you have like 5 million a month, then it's like $100. But we're not
there.
Quite there yet.
Yeah. But and then you also said that some of that music is like kind of like being at a thrift store. Well, you didn't say that, but that's what I thought about it, I guess. Like you have to dig a little bit to find like.
Yeah, a lot of it is not good. A lot of the music on that site is boring. But there are enough that actually feel like a real song that I think it's worth it for sure. And copyright law is such a pain to deal with.
Yeah.
There have been songs that I thought we could get away with, but we don't want to risk a copyright strike. Even if an artist gives you, if they let you use their song, at some point a label can sign them, and then they'll have the distribution rights of that song, and then you can get a copyright strike later.
Even if the artist lets you use it. Because then they basically like gave up their rights to it, right? So
yeah, so
that's not good.
So we just as soon as I looked through Epidemic Sound, saw some of the music that they had, and felt like it was good enough to use, that was it. We didn't want to deal with any other kind of copyright issues. So
yeah, that's not fun. We don't want the channel deleted.
But I would recommend it because there is enough good stuff, and then a lot of the stuff on there that is good is stuff that we wouldn't use because it wouldn't fit.
Wouldn't jive.
Yeah, but I think there are like 30,000 songs, and they update it regularly. Yeah.
He said he's listened to a lot of songs. I asked him last night. I was like, "So, like, you're just like listening through?" He's like, "I've listened to a lot of songs." So, okay, let's see. On your AT hike, I saw kids hiking. Have you seen many kids hiking the PCT? So I've seen really just one. And on the AT, I guess it was mainly just the one family of the Orrs from Texas. But that I hiked with anyway, that I remember. But on this one, I've met one 10-year-old, and he was in, I can't remember which video that was. Was it video 3? Yeah.
Well, I think that was it.
I think so too. But so he and his mom are hiking together. She has glaucoma. Wasn't that it? Yes, mm-hmm. It was glaucoma. And she, was like, I don't know how much longer, I'll have my vision the way it is now. And I figured what, better thing to do than to go on a thru hike with my son, while I still can see and we can have this time together and everything. So it was pretty neat talking to her about all that. But I think that's the only one I saw. But I don't know if y'all have heard, but there's actually a 1-year-old who is on the AT this year doing a flip-flop with her parents. So that's actually pretty cool. But all right, let's see. So that's the only kid that I know about right now, but there very well could be more.
Do you guys communicate?
A lot, so you can suggest certain footage. Definitely make it in.
We communicate. She doesn't say, I definitely want this in.
Yeah. I mean, I reckon if there was something, but like, I don't know, the stuff that's.
And sometimes if we do talk, if she mentions something, not talking about the video, but if she actually tells me, like she told me that story of the kid and the mom. So if she tells me the story, then I know it's something important to her. Yeah. So maybe that's something.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like make sure this is in there. It's just like we talk about something, or like the guys. I was like, oh my God, these dudes showed up at 1 a.m. to this emergency shelter, and I'm like freaking out about it. So like that obviously was something that was like, whoa. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's how it is more. It's like, two people that know each other talking more than just like, please include that, whatever.
Yeah, it's different than if I was like a hired hand off of Fiverr.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a year and a half or so.
Yeah. Let's see. Do many PCT hikers take time off like you are right now in Alabama? So I mean, I would like to say yes. I mean, life happens, right? So you go on a thru hike, and there are a lot of people that know somebody that's getting married, or know somebody that's graduating, or whatever. And I'm not saying like what people should do, but like for me, my family is very important, so I'm not going to miss a graduation. I'm gonna, of course, do the things I want to do in my life, but like you have to, make other things a priority also. So like for me, planning this thru hike, it was like I have to get off for this. And I know my friend Land Mammal that I was talking about, that hopefully I'll meet up with when I get back. He has a wedding to go to or something like that, so he'll be off for a while for that. I wouldn't say the majority of people get off that long, but it's certainly not uncommon for people to get off. And then also, like on the AT, Perk lives in New York, so when he got close to his home, I mean, he was off for like, I don't know, a couple weeks, just shuttling other hikers, like kind of doing trail magic for people. And then also when his friends would get there, he'd want to take them shooting or, go do things that he normally did at home. So I'm sure it's the same. There are people, who live along the AT and will visit their families or significant others or whatever, So it's not uncommon, but again, I don't think the majority necessarily do it because it's not really convenient, right? So, okay. looks like there are fewer people on the PCT than there were on the AT. Is that the case? So far for me, yes, that has been the case. But I've heard from other people that there have been more on the PCT than their experience on the AT. And again, my friend Land Mammal that's behind me, we were texting, about like comparing the AT and the PCT, and he was like, I'm just really surprised that there are more people on the PCT than on the AT. And I was like, what? Like, you're hiking a completely different hike than I was. But again, I started way earlier than he did, like a month nearly. So, I mean, I guess when I get back on, there are going to be a lot more people. So y'all will see, So as of now, for me, yeah, there have been less on the PCT, but that may be about to change. Do you carry a map and compass? No, I don't. Perk had a compass. Well, I shouldn't say no. I had the Half Mile app maps. I think that's what they're called. But I didn't use them. They're like topography maps, and they are good to have. But I have, my big old backup Anchor battery, and then my phone that has the Guthooks app, which has a GPS in it to help you locate. So on Jacinto, when we kept losing the trail, I mean, we literally lost the trail. Like, we have no idea where it goes, and you can follow footprints for a while, but we got to an area where I think, like, a lot of people just skipped ahead, so it was hard to figure out where to go. But luckily, with that GPS, we were able to do it. So through the Sierras, I may consider that just as a backup because of how cold it could potentially be and kill my batteries. I just don't want to rely on electronics only for that, but for one mountain, I just I wasn't really that worried about it, and I wasn't alone, and I don't plan to be for the Sierras, but we'll see what happens. So it's not a bad idea. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I will say that Guthooks has worked well enough for me to where I haven't had to look at the topo maps. But Perk had a compass. I had the maps, so so I guess technically I did, but I never used it. What has been your favorite place or moment from the PCT adventure so far? Oh man, that's tough. I don't know if I would say. Well, I liked the town of Wrightwood. I had to zero there twice because of the storm. There was a snowstorm that came in. But I liked Idlewild was all right. I think in Idlewild though I was just kind of frustrated with the fire closure and having to deal with that and everything. But Mount Laguna, I would say, ended up being very awesome when it could have been bad, because that's where I took my first 2 zeros when my knees were acting up and everything. And just meeting the people at that outfitter, that Hot Legs fella that gave me the pack shakedown and everything, like, they really turned it around for me. They kept me laughing and entertained and whatever while I was sitting there laid up, where as if I hadn't met all of them, I'd have been laying up feeling sorry for myself. So, but the most memorable moment so far, I would say, would be Jacinto, because I was actually pretty nervous on that mountain. So I hope that answers it. Do you feel a safe hitching a ride in the desert as compared to the AT? I cringe when I see you put your finger out to hitch it down. Well, I guess, I don't know. It feels very natural now. On the AT, I almost felt like weird or bad, or I don't know. But on the PCT, it's like, well, this is how you do it, But in some of the towns, like being kind of closer to bigger cities, there have been opportunities for Uber. So some of us have done that. On the AT, that was not ever really an option. And on the PCT in some areas, it's definitely not at the beginning. But so if Uber is available and it's going to be kind of later, then I just take that, if it's going to be dark. But I mean, I guess, you could, I won't say that I'm like nervous or scared. I just am cautious. I just pay attention to what's going on. I pay attention to the person in the vehicle. Luckily on this, I think I've only hitchhiked alone once. But I have my knife, and I've practiced like drawing it out and everything, so it's like with anything else, you just have to be aware of your surroundings and use common sense. So it's a little, I pay attention, but I wouldn't say I'm scared, but it's really like just part of the hiking community, and like people know what to expect. So people know what you're doing. Aaron is doing a terrific job all around. You picked the right guy to put this all together. Oh.
Well, thank you, Ron.
Yeah. Yeah. He is. He really has. Like, I have just, every time I watch one of the videos, I'm like, wow, like, you make it look so much better than what I'm doing. But I don't know. I guess he, like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Whenever I use Instagram, you know, folks are like, oh, you put a filter on something, and that's like falsifying what it really is. But to me, you can't explain, like, the camera does not really show what it looks like in person. Like, it never can do it any justice. So putting a filter on something on Instagram, to me, like, tries to give the person the feeling of what it feels like to be there. And I feel like that's what he does, and he does an awesome job of that. So can also try snow/sand stakes for tent lines. I believe Tokes makes a titanium set very lightweight. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's an option too. I reckon just some different stakes. Yeah, I didn't even know they had like snow stakes, but why wouldn't they, right? So that's very cool. Does Aaron have an artistic as well as technical background? His video editing is really amazing. Great eye for visuals and flow.
I graduated from Auburn with a degree in radio, television, and film, and a minor in creative writing. So I learned a little bit of filmmaking there and some storytelling, and so that's my background. I've worked a little bit with editing, but I've never done anything quite like this. I've never done a documentary before, so I'm trying to figure it out as I go right now. So hopefully it'll get better as I kind of learn how to edit a documentary instead of something that's scripted. But
Yep, keep Aaron.
thanks.
I will. I will as long as Aaron wants to keep me. Okay, given the longer distances between resupply and the PCT, are you seeing different choices of food? You know, what's funny is, like, everyone told me about how it was going to be so much longer between resupplies, but I don't know. The longest stretch I've had so far is like 100 miles, and that was about, 6 days, 5 to 6 days of food. You're able to do more miles starting out on the PCT than the AT. So I think although the mileage has been longer, the days that you carry stuff hasn't really been any longer, like the time frame that you have to prepare for. So I really haven't had much of a problem with that, but let me see the rest of that. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Are you seeing different choices of food? Not really. I feel like, general hiker food is just general hiker food. If anything, the West Coast has maybe like more health food stores potentially than like the East Coast. But not so much. I just try to get creative, with the grocery stores that I go to, because you get sick of the same stuff over and over and over. So, but yeah, there's not a whole lot. But now town food, there's great Mexican food out there, So stuff like that is pretty neat, seeing what local restaurants are there. But as far as resupplies, it's pretty much the same old stuff. Okay, let's see. Aaron, when editing, do you start with the soundtrack first?
No. When I edit these, I usually make sort of a rough cut of the actual story, the timeline of like when she is where, and just to make that make sense first. And then I'll find the footage that looks the best and put that in a montage, and then I edit it to a song. But I usually have a song in mind when I'm, if I'm going to put a montage in, I usually have one in mind that I've heard, and then I'll edit it to the song. But that's usually pretty late in the process. But
that makes sense. I've been curious if you will get a week of food in your bear canister. Do you think you'll be good to go? Yeah, I don't know. Perk, well, I'll say this. Perk has been carrying his bear canister the whole time, because he was like, I know it's extra weight, but like I want to, when everyone else is getting in the Sierras and they look like idiots trying to figure out their bear can, like, I'll be a pro at it. And I'm like, all right, so, which isn't a bad way to think. But he's got the same one that I do. So he's been fine with it. So hopefully I will too. It'll just be, taken some getting used to. I don't know that I'll have to carry a week of food. I feel like 5 days will be the most, and I know that's close to a week, but like 2 days of food is actually, a good amount. So I don't know. We'll find out. I'll let y'all know about all the struggles with Bear Can whenever I get it, which won't be too terribly long from now. Let's see. Pretty great for a beginner, dude.
Thank you.
Do you plan out resupplies or just look for stops when the need arises? So, okay. I definitely plan to an extent. So, and on this trail, so on the AT, this is going to sound contradictory to what I just said a minute ago. On the AT, I guess there probably are more frequent stops, or they are closer together, but like you're not going to go into a town every 3 days. I mean, you could, and maybe towards the end I kind of did that, but like you typically aim, or at least me on the AT, I typically aimed for about 5 days, and that's what I've had to do out here. So it's been about the same, but you have less options as far as like you kind of have to stop in all of these towns along the way, and on the AT you might have had another option or two thrown in here and there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but so I do, like, I go ahead and plan, okay, it's say 100 miles, and if I'm doing 20 miles a day, then that's 5 days of food plus one. I always do plus one because there may be something that you get distracted by and you decide to stay there, and you may break your leg and it's going to take you longer to get out of the woods now, or just whatever, you may not feel like hiking one day. And so I always kind of estimate the average mileage I'm doing at that time, and then plus 1 day of food. So that's how I do it. Is it possible to ever get sick of Snickers? I don't know. I haven't yet. I mean, if I see Snickers in my bag, I always want it. I just have to like control myself and say you get 1 Snickers per day. But I don't know. I guess maybe there's some strange people out there that don't like Snickers. I know it's early, but do you plan on hiking the CDT? Yes. Yeah, I do. It's like I have to now. And, I know a lot of folks will be like, well, I haven't even finished this trail yet, so I can't say that. But, like, I mean, even if some godforsaken thing was to happen and I couldn't finish this trail, like, I would still want to finish this trail and then still want to do the CDT. So, especially if I finish this trail and I'm, like, 66.666% of the way there, like, to being a Triple Crowner, I mean, I couldn't feel rested until it was complete. So yes, I definitely plan on it. Oh yeah, did you still eat Snickers in the desert? Didn't it all melt? They got a little melty, but what I would do is try to not eat them in like the middle of the day, like the heat of the day. So normally like late in the afternoon when the sun had kind of gone down a little bit. And I normally, instead of keeping them in my hip belt pocket where the sun's hitting it directly, I keep it in my food bag, in my pack. And then when I stop and take a break, I'll take special Snickers time then, instead of keeping it in my hip belt ready to go for whenever I want it. Is there a difference in your music choices on the PCT as compared to the AT? So like music that I listen to, yeah, I think, well, some of it's the same, but, a lot of the songs I just completely wore out on the AT. And, like, too, the feel of, like, the desert, I guess makes me want to listen to different things, than on the AT where it was, like, green and you're in a tunnel and it's kind of foggy-like and stuff like that. But what I did before I left for both trails is I gave my sister my phone and I was like, y'all put some music on it for me. And so it's kind of a surprise, like, while I'm walking to hear what comes on. And they know that Disney songs get stuck in my head, so I guess they decided I needed some help with that, and they put like Aladdin, like a Magic Carpet Ride, I guess I don't know if that's the name of it, or A Whole New World, and actually when they put on there that like kind of made me tear up was Fievel Goes West, that Somewhere Out There. I don't know if you know that. Did you ever watch Fievel Goes West?
I didn't. But, I've heard that song.
It's so sweet. But anyway, so when that first came on and I was like hiking by myself that day, I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, so I was like, you messed with me. And then I'm obsessed with Hank Williams Sr., but his wife couldn't sing, Audrey. And Montana, my sister, put some awful cat dying music of her on there just to mess with me. So it's kind of funny. But most of my music is stuff that they picked out. All right, let's see. Do you carry a personal locator beacon of some type? Yes. So I received a gift, and it's not a spot. but it's a like emergency locator, so it's not all the time tracking you like a spot device. It's just something that, you know, if you're in trouble, you can extend the antenna and then press the button. And I mean, I wouldn't have gone out and gotten it, but like it does feel good to have it. And and the fact that I received it, you know, was just like, I can't imagine laying there like dying somewhere, like being bitten by a rattlesnake and not having service or something, and going, you idiot, you had that thing and you should have it here to press the help button, you know. So I definitely appreciate having it, but you know, obviously haven't needed it yet, and hopefully I won't. But let's see. Good to see you in town this weekend. Let's see. Here in town? Where was this at? Or you mean at Trail Days, maybe? All right. Given the PCT is considered a more serious hike by many people, are the other hikers more athletic or more prepared and or more seasoned than on the AT? No, I don't think so. I think a lot of these people are just like folks on the AT, you know, like maybe they've done some backpacking, but nothing quite like this, you know. There are some people out there that have already done the AT, so I guess they might be more seasoned. But there are a lot of people out there, you know, that this is their first hike. Oh, Jerry, that's you. Yeah, it was good to see you too. I was like, who is this? But then it looked like it wasn't, definitely not you in that picture. But anyhow, yeah, it was good to see you too. 2 days in a row, in fact. Yeah, I mean, there are people, you know, in their 70s out there doing this trail too. The main thing is the heat, you know, is making sure that you stay hydrated and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think they're young folks, they're older folks. It's pretty much the same group as on the AT, and I don't know that anybody really trained or prepared for it or anything like that. And I know a lot of folks are like, oh my God, the elevation, like you have to train, but you train while you're out there. Like you really just take it easy, you know, and start off slow and things like that will get you ready for it. I mean, otherwise, what are you going to do? Like fly somewhere to elevation, hike a little bit every day and get back down? You know, I don't know. I don't really know how you train for it. I guess try to be in the best shape that you can be before you go. I mean, of course, that would help. But if you just do what you can, like you're gonna get there. It'll happen because you're doing it every single day. You're training every day, and then by the time you finish, you're like a machine. So I wouldn't say that anybody really puts more effort into it. Care to try getting a letter from one of us again? Yeah, so I tried. I gave somebody an address to Wrightwood, and it never showed up. So I can definitely, you know, get an address and give it to y'all in one of the towns that I know that I'll have to stop in that's kind of out ahead. So just either email me or message me on Patreon. And before I was like in Idlewild and I was trying to get out of there and everything, so I may have missed some of that, but I'm in town right now, so and I'll be, you know, able to check my email and the Patreon and stuff like that for the next couple days for sure before I get back out. So what mile will you be at when you start up again? So I'm between 400 and 500. I can't remember exactly what mile it is, but yeah, it's like it's between maybe even close to like 450-ish, something like that, maybe. Have you been cowboy camping yet? No, I have not. Well, wait. Yes, I have. I'm sorry. I did. I cowboy camped one night at the KOA. So I haven't, because it's been pretty chilly. Like, the desert is cold at night. It's very hot during the day, and it's very cold at night. And it's not the cold that bothers me as much as the wind. So when that wind starts blowing in, you know, I don't really love that. But at the KOA, it was a little more, like, sheltered-like. So I slept next to a picnic table. But that's the only place that I've cowboyed so far. I probably will, especially I hear like in the Mojave, a lot of people kind of find a grove of Joshua trees and take a nap during the day and then hike in the evening and at night and stuff like that. So I'll probably be doing more of that kind of thing. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm sure eventually I will. It's just I haven't really, I guess, been in as much of a hurry as when I started cowboying on the AT. You know, a lot of times it was like, let's just I want to be able to just like pack up real quick in the morning for whatever reason. So, have you heard of the FCT Florida Circumnavigation Trail, 1,500 miles kayak, Alabama to Georgia around Florida? Is it on your bucket list? I haven't even heard of that. So, no, I haven't, but that actually sounds pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I have a feeling that, after I wear some of this hiking out, maybe I'll get into some other things. I know people that have gone from backpacking to like, I want to, like float the Mississippi and, things like that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get a wild hair or maybe rock climbing. Who knows? What have your water sources been like so far? So, pretty good. The water has not been bad. Actually, there's been a lot of rain and snow, right? So a lot of the sources, have been great. There were, I guess, a couple that were kind of stagnant, but like the water was still cold and you could see a little movement, and I mean, it's better than having nothing. So you try it, and I've got a filter, and I've actually, on one of them, I boiled and filtered it, so just to make double sure. But yeah, the water's been great. It hasn't, it's still further apart than on the AT. You have to carry more, but it's not been as bad as they've had it some years. And there are some water caches, so it's always nice to have those. And the people that come together to make those happen, and the time that they put into it is awesome. It's amazing how many people just care about the hikers. Aaron, are you tempted to go hike the PCT now?
Not right now.
But
I mean, yeah, I would always be open to something like that, but you never know how that would work out.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll edit your videos when you go. For some reason, I feel like that just wouldn't look as great. Let's see. While the CDT is on your list, have you given any thought to the great hikes and pilgrimage trails in your? Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I feel like almost the Triple Crown is like this, not in a bad way, but like a to-do list now. Like I have an itch to get it done. Like I want to finish it, and it's, I don't know, something that I just like, I just want it. I want to do it. Like I want to do it as soon as possible and have that Triple Crown. But I haven't stopped there with like my thoughts on trails. So like the Camino or the Tia Aurora or any of that stuff. I mean, yeah, definitely it would be awesome. And I think after the Triple Crown, if I was to do another long distance trail, I would want it to be in another country. I feel like doing the AT, the PCT, and the CDT, that you would see a pretty good amount of the U.S. and especially traveling to and from those places to where it's like, okay, it's time to go see something else. So, and I've gotten a lot of the states in the U.S. I've seen a lot of them. So I'm ready to see something else. Are you planning to head back out next year on the CDT or maybe take a break? Yeah, I would really like to do the CDT next year and just have it done. And I mean, as long as everything goes well on the PCT, then I don't see why not. So yeah, like I said, I just kind of want to get it done. How are you getting back to California? I'm going to fly. So road tripped back home, and actually hit trail days in Virginia. And then, and it was so good to be back on the AT. It was really, cool to see all of that again. And I got to walk in the hiker parade and all that stuff. And then came to my brother's graduation, and then, I'll be flying back just to save time. I don't love to fly personally, and like worrying about losing your gear and all of that just makes me nervous. But I don't want to Greyhound all the way across. So yeah, I'm just gonna fly back. Are you using your stove every day? Pretty much. I would say in the last few weeks I cooked on fires a few times because we were camped in areas where it wasn't as sketchy to have a fire. Like you didn't have to worry about it as much, and we kept it very contained and small and stayed right with it. On the AT, I mean, while you should be worried about it equally as much, it just wasn't. It wasn't a concern because everything was damp and green and whatever. And on the PCT, it's like everything looks like matches laying around, just waiting to go up. So, but I have cooked on the fire. But if I don't cook on the fire, then yes, I use my stove every day. What size packs have you seen most on the PCT? I wish I could say I know for sure, but I would say I haven't seen very many that are bigger than 50 liters. I've had to throw that out there. Definitely not bigger than 65, but I would say probably 50 and smaller, or right about 50 probably is what I think. So. How did your brother's graduation go? It went well. It was awesome. He actually is valedictorian of his class, so I was very proud. My sister and I were salutatorian and a little bitter, just barely came in second place, but Dakota finally got a valedictorian for the Mills family, so we're pretty proud of that. Aaron, if you could convince Dixie to take some other piece of gear, microphones, lenses, cameras, etc., she currently doesn't want to carry, what would you ask her to carry?
I don't. There's not really anything that she just like. I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
I think anything to do with the wind and the audio.
Yeah. And I tried. I did try. So the little fuzzy things. Yeah, I guess I never told you about it. So I'll tell you now. Yeah. But so what is it called again?
A dead kitten.
It's called a dead kitten, y'all. That's horrible. Like, who would name some piece of equipment a dead kitten?
Well, the original. The dead kittens are about that big, and they go on.
They're tiny dead cats.
But the dead cat goes on a mic, and it's a windscreen, is what it is.
Yeah, so that way you don't, all that. Yeah. And it's windy in the desert a lot, and so he was like, you should look into these. So I did, and got them, and I looked up where the mics were on my phone, and I put them on there, and it still sounded windy. So maybe I did it wrong. I don't know.
And then
one of them covered up, like one of them is on the, maybe not the front, but somewhere, on the back, and it covered up the camera. So I couldn't do that one. And I even tried to put my finger over that one and it just, so I'm sorry, y'all, if it gets a little windy. But there may be another.
So maybe like a lav mic. I think that would be a pain to carry. Hopefully the wind won't be too big an issue going forward, but. That would be that's the only thing that I would be worried about is just the audio. Because sometimes you just can't use it. It's just wind. You can't even hear her. So that's part of some of what I have to cut out if you can't use it.
Yeah.
Then, and there are things you can do to pull, and I've done this, and you can tell to sort of pull the voice out so where you can hear the voice more, and sort of dampen the background noise, but it sounds weird. It sounds like you're listening through a tube.
Like a tunnel or something. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There have been some days where it's windy, or I swear it'll be like calm, and as soon as I pull out my phone to start talking, it's like a hurricane moves in, and I'm like, really? So.
And those are some of the outtakes that we could.
Yeah, that
we're not gonna.
There might be ugly things, that are said during that time that aren't Perk's fault. But yeah, I don't know, like, would you know of a fancy camera that you would be like, you should carry this if I wasn't using my phone, or do you think the phone is the best for now?
I think the phone is, because you're gonna have the phone anyway, and we should talk about the lenses if we're gonna just have all the information at some eventually. But I think the phone the picture's pretty good. Like it's.
It does
a good, especially the iPhone 7. It's
for the fact
better.
that it's a phone.
And I do a little bit of color correction, not much, like small amount to give more contrast, because it's a little washed out. The regular image is a little washed out. So if you are, because I know a lot of people say the image looks amazing. So if you're going to get an iPhone to film based on the footage, you should know that there is a little bit of work done afterwards. Not much. Pretty much all I ever do is lower. It's not hard to do. It just sounds more technical than if you're not used to it. But I just lower the exposure and the shadows.
Can you do that on iMovie? Do you know?
You can. It's a little different.
Because I know a lot of people edit using iMovie with their phone. So
I don't know if you can on the phone. I know you can on the computer version. There's a little slider. It's a little different than when I use Final Cut Pro for these videos right now. I'm starting to switch to Premiere Pro because I think it's better. Adobe Premiere Pro. But so pretty much all I do is lower the exposure and the shadows, and maybe I wish I could show. I wish if thought ahead, and I could show the difference.
Yeah.
Because you look at the original image, and it looks fine usually, especially if you're not used to looking at them all the time. But then that one change somehow just makes it noticeably better usually. So maybe I'll
do something like that.
I'll show the difference and show what I do. Maybe.
Oh, add it to this one.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
yeah.
so this video will eventually be put on YouTube. So he's saying maybe he can find a way to show what he's talking about when this is posted. So sweet. So maybe that would be a good place. I was thinking like another video or. Okay, so also. Let me go ahead and say macro. Okay, so I've been doing some macro shots, and I don't know how many of y'all are subscribed to an email list on my website or blog, but it's homemadewanderlust.com if you want to. But I have been doing, not exactly once a week, but I try to, but a gear item of the week. So the last one that I posted up there are some lenses that he found and suggested that I carry. So I did.
She didn't fight me on it at all. And they're pretty heavy.
Actually, he said he suggested one, and I wanted to get the other. Yeah. So
I wanted the wide angle for the big mountain shots. And and she's like, I want to take a picture.
I want the macro. Bug. Yeah, I was
no one can spot a bug like.
Yeah, you have no idea too. Like while we're walking, I'm like, look at that ladybug, and Perk's like, where? And he's like, holy.
She just spots bugs.
How did you see it? Yeah, I don't know why. Like I zoom into like all the little stuff going on around, and they're like, wow, look at this beautiful view, and I'm like, look at that bug, like he's carrying an ant, like he's carrying, so
he's doing handstands.
Yeah, the beetles do handstands, and then the lizards do like push-ups. I don't know, it's cool. But those though, I did like a little like very quick write-up on that because people were like, what are you using for those macro shots? And it's called a moment lens. So actually for this to be posted on when this gets posted to YouTube for the public, we can put a link in that. But if you go to my page, you'll see the post. This one. Oh yeah, because y'all will have y'all will be able to access this video. So we can, when we get done here and we sign off, we can put a link to that in the description on this video. So yeah, sorry, went a little long on that one. Let's see.
And if you're going to ever think about putting a lens on a phone, that's the only one.
Oh.
At the moment.
Yeah, and the way that it works, there's just like a plate that sticks to the back of your phone. And some people have asked me, and I need to go back and answer this, can you use it with a phone case? So I have been told that you can use it with a life proof, but I haven't tried it myself. I don't have that. So I have to take my case off and hook it up. It just like twists onto that plate over the lens, and then take it off and put my case back on. So I mean, while that might seem like kind of a pain, it's still worth it. So but apparently with the life proof you can do it without that, but I just feel like a bunch of crud's gonna collect on your case in front of the lens, and then you're gonna have that in between the two lenses, and I just don't know how that'll work. So that is one thing to consider.
And the attachment for the lens on the phone is probably the cheapest part.
Yeah, it is. But mine has stayed on. Mine has, it hasn't.
We were worried about that.
Yeah, the little plate that like sticks onto the phone that you screw the attachment onto. But
the lens itself is really well made.
Yeah. Any second thought on bringing along a micro drone for us? Who knows? Let's see. Love the postcard. Thank you so much, Tim. Oh, I'm glad that y'all got that. Aaron has a great smile.
Oh.
He's blushing now. Yeah. I don't know if y'all can see the color, but
sunburn a little bit.
Any chance of catching up to Perk again? Hopefully. I mean, I hope so. That'll be kind of my goal, light a fire under me. But again, I'm not gonna hurt myself trying to catch up and then, not be able to hike. So I learned from the beginning that I need to listen to what my legs are telling me. So agree, the phone is making some really good footage. Yeah, I've been impressed with it. I've noticed that as hikers progress, they tend to move to going stoveless. I couldn't imagine not having a hot meal. It seems people learn to make do with less. What are your thoughts on this? So it's funny you mentioned that, Ron, because I have actually thought about that, especially, if I'm going to continue to add things like, the tripod and the lenses, and I'm sure, potentially for the CDT, there may be some new little toy or gadget or whatever that I want to add. So I have thought about doing the stoveless thing. My thoughts are I could carry like a metal cup that's like big enough to hold like mashed potatoes or rice or something like that. That way, and I could still have coffee. Now I could do coffee cold, whatever, mix it with an instant breakfast, shake it up in a bottle with some water, and it'd be fine. But with that cup, I could cook on a fire if I, had the gumption to build one. But you can carry like a plastic container or like a peanut butter jar or something like that and soak your food in it. And I've heard that works just fine. And it's something that I have considered. Not yet. I might just start off the CDT that way, or maybe later in the trail I'll, weigh all the different things like that container and try to figure out, will my food be a lot heavier if I'm doing that? I think if you're soaking, you don't have to worry about adding too much weight with food, but like if you're not going to soak anything, then I feel like a lot of your stuff would be a lot more dense and you might offset the weight that you would have saved. So it is definitely something I'm considering. So it is funny that you mentioned that. But yeah, as hikers progress, they try to find ways to do without to save weight. Like with my sleeping pad, I went from the full length one and everyone was like, oh my god, you're gonna be miserable swapping to the short one with your legs hanging off. I just put my pack under my legs, and like honestly I don't plan to go back to the long one because it works and it saved me 4 ounces, and that could be the extra phone that I carry or half of the tripod that I carry, so especially for me trying to do more with the videos, it's worth it to cut a little bit of comfort, but you don't even really notice. So better pick. I was in on my company account. I'm not cross-dressing. Jerry, you cracked me up. Yeah, that looks like you now, and it says your name. So yeah, I was just like, who in the world? The pack would love to send you a care package. We'll need address. Are you traveling in a group? So I was telling everybody else, I don't know if you were in here yet, that yes, if you shoot me an email or a message on Patreon, if y'all are wanting to send something, I can pick a point ahead that I know that, that's like the only spot for a certain mile stretch, and like I will be going in there. So, and I can give you an address to the post office or to a hostel or something like that. Let's see. Have you edited any of your gear since you started? So, yes, I did. I went from, let's see if you can remember with me. I went from my solar panel charger to 20,100, I think it is, milliamp hour Anker charger. Also, I swapped from my Platypus gravity filter to back to a Sawyer. What I'm doing this time though, and I like it a lot better than using the bladder that comes with the Sawyer, I'm just hooking it to a smart water bottle, so I catch dirty water in the smart water bottles, screw that on the top, and just drink directly through it. So I'm not having to like squeeze and filter stuff and keep up with what's dirty and what's clean. It's like basically everything's dirty when I go to cook. Even though I'm gonna boil, I still squeeze it through the filter. When I drink, I do that. I might have one like 20-ounce bottle, like a vitamin water bottle or something that I keep for like drink mixes, so then I would squeeze water in it to clean it and then put like a Propel mix or something like that in it. But otherwise all the other bottles I assume are dirty water, and it's worked well, and I did that to save weight. So by doing that, I also sent home my hydration bladder. But the video 3, is that 3 where the pack shakedown is?
It's
2. Okay, so video 2, I got rid of some stuff during a pack shakedown. I'm trying to think if I've swapped anything else. Sleeping bag. I swapped from 20 degree Z-Packs sleeping bag to a 10 degree, and they exchanged it for me, thank goodness. I was really appreciative of that, but just because I'm very cold natured, like I freeze all the time. So I don't know that everyone would need a 10 degree, but for me, definitely. It's been doing great. So I can't really think of anything else. My shoes, I went from Solomon's to Ultras. That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah, that's all I mean.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. Sitting in my tent at Blue Ridge Motorcycle Campground, having my own camping experience, was raving about your choices you've made to get here and how strong a role model you are. Thanks for the fish. Well, thank you. That's sweet of you to say that. I don't know, just doing my thing. But I'm glad that you're out camping. You said Blue Ridge Motorcycle Camp. Always riding that motorcycle, Joe. All right, let's see. I know it's impolite to ask a woman her weight. So has your body yet started adjusting as a result of completing 450 miles, or is that Mexican food really that good? So I don't, I hate to say, I really didn't weigh myself before I left, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I need to weigh here before I leave. But I don't know. Do I look like I've gained or lost or anything? Do you look about the same? Yeah. I mean, on the AT, yeah, I have a better glow now. I have a better tan supposedly, but I don't really notice a difference weight wise. On the AT, I fluctuated within 10 pounds, 5 or 10 pounds up and down. Lost 10 pounds when I had food poisoning, which is go figure. But I think guys are the ones that really lose the weight more than women. I mean, if anything, women might gain a tiny bit just because of converting fat to muscle. But yeah, I don't think I've really gone up or down. And I'm not offended. I'm normally like 125 to 130-ish, something like that. So, and I stuck to that. Let's see. But the Mexican food is actually really good. How's the music you're listening to change? It really hasn't that much as far as the ones that I put on there. But like I said, my sister, I gave her my phone and I was just like, go for it. So they picked out different things for me. Are there any hiker channels you follow or support on Patreon? No, I honestly, I really haven't looked. I'm sure that the other hikers are on, maybe some of them are on Patreon. I don't know for sure. But I mean, I gotta keep up with this one, let alone another one. And it's funny, like I do YouTube, but like I don't really watch a whole lot of YouTube. I don't know. I guess I don't want to say like it's a job. I mean, it is, I guess, but like it's I enjoy it, but like I don't know. If you think about your work, like when you're not doing it for that reason, do you really do it otherwise? I guess I get on YouTube like anyone else, like looking for how to fix things and stuff like that. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
Before I started working on this series, I just wanted to see what other people were doing, and so I saw a few of the channels. So I would recommend. I don't know if you asked so you can know who maybe you watch. But John Zorian, John Z.
Yeah, I have heard people mention John Z a lot.
And Nemore do really good work.
Yeah,
they're
pretty.
They're good at what they do. So
he has showed me. Yeah, you have showed me those. And have both of them? John Z is he a triple crowner?
He's a triple crowner.
And then Nemore. Is he?
I don't know. I haven't watched all of their videos, but I've seen enough. They know what they're doing for sure.
Yeah, I remember him talking about John Z, especially, and other people on the trail have mentioned John Z to me. So. And
they use camera. They actually
like good cameras.
Well, yeah, not like a DSLR because that's too heavy, and I think they're ultralight, but yeah, those two for sure. If you wanted to watch one, I would recommend those channels.
Let's see. Looks like a smaller tramily this time, or maybe some are camera shy. Yeah. This trail, I will say this, is very different from the AT. I'm not saying that people don't form tramilies out here, but for me personally, I feel like it takes longer. People go a lot longer without having trail names. They don't, I think maybe there are smaller groups and things like that rather than like, our group of 10 that we had on the AT. But also, I think it depends on not your level of experience in backpacking, but like your level of experience on long distance trails. So I've noticed on this trail that people who have hiked the AT previously, like I click with them more so than people who are on their first through hike. And it's not like a snobby thing or anything like that, but it's just like a different mindset, So for people who this is their first long distance trail, everything is very new to them, and this terrain is new and everything, but the idea of backpacking isn't as much. So, it's just people who are more similar, like flock together naturally. But for me, also, there have been a lot less people on this trail than there were for me on the AT. So, but I think a lot of the difference in community boils down to that there are no shelters on the PCT. So you learned about people and their personality and things like that from the shelter logbooks long before you ever met them in person. And like you might follow somebody for 2 weeks and see their names and they tell jokes and and you're like, wow, this must be a fun person to be around. And you meet them and you feel like you already know them. But on the PCT, you don't have that. The only books really that you encounter to sign are in towns, and it's just like people just sign their name pretty much and the date. So there's like a loss of community in that. It was like our social media of the trail. And so out here, you have no idea who's ahead of you or who's behind you unless you happen to run across their stuff on Instagram or Facebook and follow them. So I think that has a lot to do with it. That it's just a completely different hike and a completely different experience. But it's awesome in its own way. It's like apples and oranges. It's just totally different. So. Oh yeah, Joe Brewer is great too. His CDT videos are amazing. Yeah, Joe Brewer. So I have definitely seen his stuff, and yeah, he does more like DIY gear stuff, which is pretty cool. Let's see. What's the chance that you throw a patron party at the conclusion of the trip with a slideshow and a few stories? Oh, you mean like something in person, like a gathering, like a patron gathering? That would be cool. I don't know how many of y'all would be up for it. I mean, it might just be like 3 of us sitting in a room or something, but I mean, maybe we could do something like that. That would actually be pretty neat. Yeah, Nemours pretty good. How far are the videos from where you are at? Will they be sped up? We just can't get enough. You make our days. Aw. Yeah, Aaron said earlier that it's about a month behind, yeah. But yeah, it will speed up now, especially because I've been off trail for like
so we're losing a whole
2 weeks almost. Yeah. So yeah. Joe, let's see. Red Mage on you at this year is doing a good job. Okay. Will you do a session on how to use ice picks? I don't know if I'm maybe after the Sierras I'll feel like I'm a pro enough to talk about it, but with any other piece of gear, it seems like a lot of opinions on the proper way to use an ice axe and whether you should have a leash and whether you shouldn't. And I didn't even know what self-arresting was before I started the PCT, and I just barely know now. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, once I get done with the PCT, there will be informational videos just like there were on the AT, to help people who are planning to section or through hike in the future.
AT this year on YouTube.
YouTube. AT.
Oh, see, I haven't. That's like Red Mage. I've seen the names. It's hard to watch them because everyone's doing them like every day now, so it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, who's wearing all of the videos. Chocolate Ball said he met you on trail but had no idea who you were. Shocking. His videos have been pretty good so far. Yeah, I met Chocolate Balls in Idlewild actually, and he seemed like a pretty cool fella. But yeah, I haven't seen him again. I think he's probably pretty far ahead now. Well, especially with the time I've taken off. But yeah, he's a cool fella. Yeah, it was funny because he's like, wait a second, do you vlog? Because somebody told me you do, and I do too. And I was like, that's so cool. So. When do you think you will finish the PCT? I don't know. I hope a lot sooner than Katahdin. I know last year people were finishing in the first week of October, and a lot of them after that couldn't finish. So I would like to be done at the end of September. I mean, I guess it's kind of like the last one to Canada wins as long as you can actually get there. Same thing with Katahdin. The last one to Katahdin wins as long as you actually summit. So it's just this fine line between really enjoying all of the things you can along the way and at the same time not having to stress out about getting there on time and just all of that. But I think it's safe to finish around the end of September. It's a good idea, or before. I support a number of creators on Patreon. What has been your experience with the platform? So far, it's been pretty self-explanatory. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty user-friendly. I'm learning, as I go. I didn't know anything about it. Somebody just told me, like, hey, several people while I was on the AT were like, you should check out Patreon. You should check it out. And so I was like, all right, and I did. And that's how, I am connected with all of you now. So, I mean, I definitely suggest it for somebody who is putting out content,
Yeah, if you're putting out content, not if you just want to hike.
Yeah, no, if yeah, no. Well, and yeah, that's what Patreon. That's what sets Patreon aside from.
A GoFundMe.
Yeah, like a GoFundMe or all of the different ones where it's essentially like I want money for this. Instead, it's like I am producing content, whether it be music, I guess blogging, even like writing, books. Probably, you know, there are probably people who are like, if I have X amount of dollars, you know, I will put out the next book, or different things like that. So, and in this case, videos on YouTube. And I think a lot of YouTubers use Patreon. Yeah. So I think it's a pretty common thing. So, and it definitely helps. So yeah, if you're producing content of any type, then definitely check out Patreon. I think it's a good platform for that. Let's see. Kira Sandiford made an amazing PCT video last year. They're definitely worth checking out. Awesome. What are the rattlesnake risks on cowboy camping? Would think it's higher there than the AT. Yeah, I definitely have seen a lot more rattlesnakes on this trail than on the AT. Like, I think I've seen either 9 or 10 now, and on the AT I saw 1. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Hey Dixie, so proud of you. Keep up with the great videos. Thanks for sharing your journey. Thank you for checking it out and for supporting me. I mean, I could not put, or he couldn't put these out. Like, I couldn't be doing them, videoing them, if it wasn't for people watching and supporting. So, I mean, everyone's like, thank you, but no, thank y'all, for real. So, Dixie, I just want to say how proud I am to be one of your patrons. You're an amazing person. Man, y'all are making me blush. Thank y'all again. Like I said, I couldn't be doing it without y'all. So I love reading your blogs too. I know it takes time, but you're a great writer. Love to hear that. And yeah, I know, y'all. I'm sorry. Yeah, when I got back from the AT, life happened, you know, and I still have actually all of the pictures from the end of the AT still on my phone, like ready to put into a blog post. So I still, like, I will finish that. And actually, when I get done with the PCT, I would like to start writing a book that's like more of the story, not like a how-to prep. I will do one like a how-to prep for the PCT, but I'd like to do like an AT like story in book form. So, but I will finish those blog posts, and I'm going to make sure that, you know, my PCT blogs posts will be a little more frequent, like on what's going on, and get caught up on those. And let's see. I bet Hank and Fancy were so happy to see it. Yes, they were. Well, Hank acted like a butt and acted like he didn't know who I was, but he does that. Like when Riga came home with me for my brother's graduation last year, he ran to her and acted like, and then he was like, "Oh wait, you're my mom, aren't you?" You know, so he kind of pulled that with me this year also. But we've smoothed things over until I leave again. But and we'll take a few more questions, and then we should probably wrap it up. So let's see. How have the mosquitoes been on the trail so far in comparison to the AT? I think I've been bit by like 1 mosquito so far. Apparently in the Sierras it can get miserable. We'll see. I'll let y'all know. Battery is dying and I have to pitch tent. Dropped a message on Patreon. Proud of you and can't wait to see more from the trail. Well, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. And that's somebody that y'all can check out. Mike's Hike has he's got some videos up about preparing for hiking and things like that, and his own experience. So that is somebody on YouTube that is also in our little patron community. So let's see. Keep up the amazing work and looking forward to seeing more. Stay safe and be well. Thanks for spending time. And do you have anything else you want to add before we go about things on your end? I mean, I guess in general, for people who don't know what we do, like I video everything on my phone, and then when I get to a town or I have good reception, I can hook up to Dropbox. I have the Dropbox app on my phone, and I literally just upload all of the clips onto Dropbox, which he can access from his computer, and then he goes from there. So that's how everything goes.
And it's Dropbox Pro. It's a terabyte. You have to upgrade. We had to upgrade. Like I said, I think it's about 120 gigs so far, and we're not even close
Yeah.
So she gets a lot. She gets a lot of footage out there.
Yeah, I do. I video a lot of stuff. But anyway, well, thank y'all so much for. I mean, we had a good turnout. I know that it was kind of last minute, letting y'all know, but like I tried to do it, with as much time. I try to give y'all. What am I trying to say? I try to let y'all know ahead of time as much as I can, but on the trail and stuff, it might only be a few hours at a time ahead of when I can, do it. But I will be doing another one of these fairly soon. I'm gonna try to do them, as often as I can. So just to,
I saw something that said bonus videos welcome. There probably will be in the future, in the summer, once she's on the Sierra. I imagine there'll be a few bonus videos here and there.
Again, like
we're kind of rationing footage right now
just to
we
make
don't
sure.
really know how it's gonna be. We don't want a video of her driving a car for a whole video. So.
Yeah, but all right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much again, and I'll be talking to y'all soon. And if you have any more questions about the vlogging aspect or whatever, Aaron will be happy to answer them.
Comments, I'll answer
you can
anything.
comment in this about it, and all right, awesome. Well, bye y'all. We'll see you later.
See y'all next time.
Quit making fun of me.